episode 8 of yWeb3 Navigating Frontier Tech. Today, we're talking about the latest news in the world of emerging technologies. It's August 31st, 2023, and Bitcoin is currently at 27,000, pulling back a little bit from 28,000 yesterday, but really kind of riding a high of so many good news articles, and we'll talk about those here shortly. Ethereum's kind of moving a little bit closely, but again, they're working on reclassifying that, hopefully as a commodity. So first, we're going to talk about some social media platforms that just got the license to allow crypto payments. Major development for the crypto industry, as it could make it easier for people to buy and sell crypto on these various platforms. Next, we're going to talk about a court ruling that will pave the way for the first spot Bitcoin ETF in the United States. This would be a huge ruling, and also the reason why Bitcoin is rallying a little bit today. This is another impactful development, as it could make it easier for institutional investors to get involved in the crypto market. The ruling is subject to appeal, but it's a positive sign for the U.S. We'll be discussing some of these developments in DeFi, Metaverse, and so many more. And I have an amazing panel to work with today. So let's go around the horn and make sure we get some introduction to them. Let's start with Tuam. How are you today, sir?
Doing really well, Jay. Thanks for having me on the show. Name's Tuomas Holmberg. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Crypt. We're a physical to digital bridge for collectibles assets. So think about, your Pokemon cards or coins, comic books, stamps, things that are real world assets that have, tremendous markets in the real world, but, typically are inefficient. So we're trying to reduce the friction, make it a little bit easier, reduce the fraud, bring all of that trading and authentication on the blockchain, and, hopefully create the new world. Thank you.
One of my absolute favorite Web3 projects, Collector's Crypt. Fabulous. John, how are you, sir?
Hey, good. Good morning, Jay. John Welch, CEO of Making Fun. We are a video game developer and publisher. I would say a year ago, we were going full all in with crypto, and we were building NFTs and moving our games over to blockchain and to feature NFTs very, very prominently. Now we've taken, we're still going in that direction in the long term, but we've realized that the best strategy for getting there is to have an amazing game first to lead with. So I think that's a big trend in gaming. It's no more about the crypto. It's about having an awesome game. And one of the features of that awesome game is having the ability for players to own their assets and to be able to bring cash in and cash out in a fair, transparent kind of way. So we had kind of a game that we were working with that was not as popular. And then now we're developing the next generation version of our most popular game called Eternium, which has had 37 million downloads on, it's one of the highest rated apps ever on the App Store and Google Play. It's available on PC, on Steam, and we're developing a next generation version of that now. And so that will become the basis for what we can bring NFTs and blockchain into.
Awesome.
Next year.
Fabulous. And last but not least, someone who really appreciates a good game, Antoine, who, again, you've got a very diverse background and is super excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Jay, for having me. Hi, guys. So I'm Antoine. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of MetaEngine. So we are a game infrastructure platform. So from game development, we have our own proprietary game engine, our own proprietary massively multiplayer networking capacity for our engine in Unity, Unreal, etc. We also have a decentralized asset store to keep track of game assets. I spent the last 10 years in gaming and the years before in investment banking. So a little bit of a jump there, but very interested about the ecosystem and then where it's moving.
Well, there's no way to be in any financial markets if you're not into an MMO, because what else are you going to be doing in between trades? They're both really the same thing.
I was a big farm.
Yeah, there you go. I was a big EVE Online, player, which was spreadsheets in space. So
back when I played WoW, I was in the Cram Down clan. It was a bunch of CEOs and venture capitalists.
You'd be surprised. It's very common out there. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and kick this one off. I think it's an amazing week. We've had a lot of good news come out of the United States, which has not been the commonplace right now. But again, this is a global show, so we'll kind of make sure to get a bunch of different perceptions around this. But right off the bat, X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon, I think the timing on that was really interesting. He was getting sued by the DOJ and the SEC, and literally within 48 hours of that lawsuit coming out, he's like, "Oh, we're changing the name." and it's now X. And, so whether he was trying to kind of go with some old, kind of push the old name and the old business plan to Twitter, or he just wanted that much attention on the new X platform, don't really know. But I think one of the most important things is that Elon, one of the former early PayPal innovators. So he has a very clear understanding of how money works. He very much understands how the banking regulations and laws are. So while we hear a lot about, crypto people wanting to have, on and off ramps and everything else, this is a very experienced founder, someone who's very experienced in the payment space, and we've heard that he's applied, quite a bit for EMI licenses in all 50 states. He stated that publicly maybe about a month ago, and we just saw today that he was granted his first out of Rhode Island for an electronic money transmitter license. This allows for them to take payments, convert, and to make purchases natively without having to kind of use a third party. Tuom, this is kind of exciting for you because one of your things is that you want to buy and sell and move real world assets back and forth, and the on and off ramps are one of the biggest challenges. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. The ability to trade assets on the blockchain is it sounds simple, but when you actually get into the nuts and bolts and try to figure out exactly how you're going to do that, it becomes very difficult. So I mean, I could imagine a future on X where we are integrated in some way, and somebody can click on somebody's profile, and then maybe they have a link to our platform, and it might even show some cards for sale within that, and then you could just do the payment straight through X. I mean, I think that's a 5 to 10 year vision, but it's like that would be a much more efficient way to trade things, a much more personal way to trade things than exists right now, where you have these major entities like eBay and so on, where you trade things. Kind of jumping a little bit more broadly, I think a lot of companies have kind of experimented with trying to integrate crypto into what they're doing, and most notably obviously is Meta, who made a huge bet on trying to integrate crypto into their platform, and hasn't done well with it. Other ones, you've heard about experiments that Discord has done to try to integrate crypto within the Discord app, and had a huge backlash from the community that doesn't want anything to do with it. The thing that's great about X, whatever you think about Elon Musk, what's great about X is that he owns the whole thing, and he is in full control, and he's going to do it, and he doesn't care what value he destroys. I think this is going to be a phenomenal experiment. I think it's going to be, if it works, probably some aspects of it will work really well, and some are just going to fall flat dead. And we need somebody out there trying to push this to get the use cases that work out there. Otherwise, everybody else in the world is going to be afraid to do it. So I applaud Elon on this, and excited to see what happens.
I think the interesting thing is, there was already a lot of speculation about, an X coin. Is Elon going to launch a coin? And he came out very clearly and said no. He's smart enough to understand, where the SEC, kind of has like some really hard guidelines and rules, and there's no benefit to him launching a coin. It's a private company. This isn't a money play for him. This is an access play. He's, one of his biggest reasons for acquiring Twitter, and he said so publicly, is data. So he wants usage. He wants to know where people are, and he kind of sees, X being this everything app, payments, and that he just announced this morning it's going to be able to do, you're going to be able to do audio and video phone calls through without a phone number. Antoine, what's your you've been around this space for quite a bit. You've seen a lot of changes, and what's your thoughts on kind of where this is going?
So first of all, you got to give respect to the guy, going not all in, but just adding the feature. There you go. Here it is. He makes cars. He makes rockets. He made PayPal. So he knows financial regulations, and he knows every bit of regulation in every state in the US and probably in many countries. So he knows what he's doing. Making a coin is a bad bet because the regulation is too complex, especially for a publicly listed company. And then if you are integrating crypto into your platform, that's what we did with Meta Engine. We had a game engine, and we are adding crypto to it. How do you onboard users? How do you give them a wallet? You have to use third-party services like Web3 Auth or others, where you log in with your Google account or Twitter account, or Discord account and get a wallet with it. And it's paid service.
Yeah.
I'd rather have my wallet given to me by Twitter. That's the way I see that this announcement is they're just going to add a wallet to your account. That's it. So then you'll be able to control it with your authentication from Twitter and forget about the secret phrase, forget about that complexity of click here, add gas there. Sorry, fuck it. It's simpler. It's a lot simpler. So if they were doing that, and they are, I'm pretty sure he's going to do that. Then, okay, you have crypto ready platform. That doesn't mean people will use it, but he can then create use cases, and people can create use cases on top of that. And if you control your assets, your wallet with your Twitter account, as much as you control whatever you tell people or whatever how you communicate with the world through Twitter and call and send online messages, whatever, that's great. That's exactly what should have been done.
I think that's massive. That's a massive, massive opportunity that the internet and startups and other companies failed to address for so long that Apple and Google finally just stepped in. And right now, if you're on iOS, your phone is your everything. It unlocks your car, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's an opportunity here, and I think Elon sees it with X. If I can go in and get a source of money, do I need to run my own blockchain to do that? No. My own coin? No. What I need to do is I need to have X be the place you're going to do things, right? Just like WeChat is the app that's used in China to do everything. That opportunity is still here. Apple has failed to deliver on it. Google's failed to deliver on it. But what they're doing with little pieces that he can chip away on is Google Authenticator, Google as your login for all these websites, right? So I think having my identity, an identity tied with payments that I can use in a distributed way. Yeah, I think that's really clever.
I think it's interesting from a wallet perspective, and I would say this in a trust. And I'd love, we can just do a quick round the horn real quick. I would trust Twitter over Facebook any day with a wallet solution.
100%.
You were saying to him that the Facebook didn't do well with integrating. I think they didn't do it well. They kind of forced a stable coin. They kind of forced like an ecosystem with MasterCard, Visa, this, that, everybody that nobody likes. So Twitter, but Elon doesn't care. He cares about traction and being profitable at some point. So yeah, go ahead, try. If he fails, he fails. He won't care. Twitter will not die because of that. It will not.
Yeah.
What's kind of strange is we can't really trust brands in this way. It's new territory to trust a brand with your data. I trust Elon in a way because I kind of feel like he says what he means.
He's too busy to rip you off.
He's
got other
playing
shit
a bigger game, right? He's playing a bigger game. So when it was Larry and Sergey at Google, I trusted Google more than I do now, and I guess kind of back, but
yeah, I've stopped using Google search. I don't find warm and fuzzy feelings with it. So, but I think it's very interesting, and Tuomas, you manage, from real world assets back and on and off chain, you're over on the Solana ecosystem. So it'll be interesting to see, is Elon going to be multi-chain or is he going to kind of pick a favorite? But we have not heard about him acquire anything, or if he's building something from scratch, but he's identified that there's a team that's actively working on this and said they're not going to waste their time with the coin.
Yeah, I think, to Antoine's point, Facebook, they probably had hundreds of people in all these committees, and they said, well, what's our 5-year plan? And then let's create this bureaucratic nightmare to try to back into it, and let's let the whole world know we're going to do 1,000 different things. And people are just like, hey, give us something that's easy, fun, and cool, and I'll use it, right? They didn't have to go through this whole kind of rebranding, all this kind of stuff just to, have it fizzle. I mean, I think Elon is just going to come in. He's going to say, I built it, go use it, and let me know what works, what doesn't, and we'll innovate, right?
And most likely he'll open source the code, which I think is critically important to understand.
Yes. And where are the guys who work at Facebook? Now they're on Sui. And improving on the programming language that was initiated at Facebook, which is cool. But now it's going to be open source. It's going to be more open. That's nice. I'd rather use that than the Facebook coin. Sorry.
I think once again, what we're seeing here with Elon is, love him, hate him, but the world's a better place for having people like him who are bold, who are ambitious, who can plot a course, who have a vision.
And money, so we can try stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, rapid failure, and I think that that's really kind of this thing that it's I find myself on X. I hate the X name, but anyway, I find myself on there quite a bit more, and I do find differentiating opinions and quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see, and we'll circle back around this here soon. I hope he implements it well. I feel like he generally will, but as with anything else, they don't come out of the oven perfect. So usually there's a little bit of trial and error. Jumping over into, I think, some of the biggest news that we have is that Grayscale Bitcoin ETF, which is a spot Bitcoin ETF. Right now there's the GBTC, which is just kind of a general trust. Like you don't own a one-to-one, and they've got a ton of Bitcoin in there, but it's not a spot ETF. That's been kind of the holy grail in the United States, that you can, just again own custodial Bitcoin, but in a regulated manner. So Grayscale has been granted a petition for review. So that means the SEC now has a length of time that they can either accept the application or deny it. Which I think that based on what Gensler has been doing, he may deny it, but at least it's been given the ability to have a review. That the Court of Appeals has said nope, they are allowed to do this, and you can't just say no. So they got about a 45-day that the SEC can fight it. But then they have, I think, approximately 200 days to approve it. Antoine, what's your thoughts on this as a former trader?
Well, we've been hearing about Bitcoin ETF for years. I think we're getting there. There are still legitimate questions on the SEC refusals of all these ETFs, but it's showing great potential, and we're getting closer to a resolution. First of all, federal court. I'm not U.S. citizen. I don't know much about the U.S. legal system, but
neither does Gary Gensler.
The prerogative of the SEC of the federal court is not the same as the SEC. What the SEC decides on, ETF listing or not, is not a federal court business. It is not. It is SEC business. So they do not understand, even if they're very good judges there, they do not understand what SEC does. Is SEC understanding what they're doing? Probably not. But they have their refusal has grounds still. But I think there's something much bigger at play here. Who is going to be the first one? Who is going to have the first ETF? One will happen eventually, but who will be the first one? And and when is the aggregation or accumulation of Bitcoin in an investment firm like Grayscale or BlackRock, not to name the huge elephant in the room? When will the accumulation of that Bitcoin will happen? Because to be able to sell the ETF, so it's a 101. So I sell you one. I need one in the bank. So they will have to accumulate it. If you were a wise investor, you would try to buy at the lowest point on the market. And if you were a wise investor, but also the biggest investor in the world, BlackRock, would you try to alter the course of the price before it becomes a regulated ETF? So you can fuck with it a little bit before buying. So if I were BlackRock, I would buy under 20,000. So what is going to happen between now and the ETF approval? Maybe we will see the price of Bitcoin drop a little bit more. Last year it was around 20,000, but nowhere near having SEC approval. So we may see it go down a little bit. So then you can promise your investors that you're going to go back to 26 and 30 and 40, etc., and slow down the volatility on that underlying product. So you can control the progress, and you can be sure that every year you make 20%, and investors are very happy because that they can do that. They have the monetary power to do that. They did that to several.
And this is,
other
the
coins.
nice thing is these are I believe raw Bitcoin. They're not these aren't wrapped anywhere on some special chain. I truly believe in raw tokens as being the most critical part of these ecosystems. Bridges and wallets are my two least favorite things in the world, and so it's exciting to see proper custodians, raw Bitcoin being held by these spot ETFs. Tuom, you've spent some time in regulated markets. What's your are you excited about this? Do we think that there's going to be like 20 of them approved, or you think it's going to be one or two?
I'm super excited about it. I mean, I think once the blueprint is established, you're going to have a bunch of people coming in to try to have their own specific flavor of the ETF, and you have the investment accounts where the people within those 401ks only have a certain subset of assets that they can pick. So you're going to have a lot of copy paste, Bitcoin ETFs going out there. The one thing I agree 100% with Antoine that there is incentive to try to stabilize the price of Bitcoin as well as to have a good entry point for the ETF. But I think a big part of the ETF and of the underlying asset is that it's a stable and robust market that doesn't allow a single participant to really influence it too much. So I think BlackRock is going to be incredibly careful if they are going to do anything like that to make sure that that's not known. And you can't keep a conspiracy like that quiet. So I think BlackRock's going to be super safe. They're going to be very conservative in terms of how they launch this, so that they don't get egg in their face. Because frankly, the opportunity to have the premier Bitcoin ETF that's going to be around 100 years from now is so massive that they just need to get it out there, do it the right way, not have any regulatory scrutiny. You don't want to give Congress any reason to come in and pass some law that says, well, look, BlackRock, you guys manipulated the price before I went in. So I think it's going to be A+ offering. I think they're going to do a phenomenal job launching it. And I think there's room for, a handful, if not a dozen different ETFs out there that are going to fit in everybody's different kind of flavor that they're offering on their investment product.
Yeah, and
their
not investment advice, but I think sub 30 is very low for Bitcoin. I think that I don't think 100K is today, but I think that solving the custody issue, and I think that's one of the self custody to me is like it's great, but it's stupid, and especially for institutions that have fiduciary responsibilities to their investors and shareholders, and John, this was like your biggest challenge, is nobody wants to deal with the coins, especially when you're talking about hey. I don't want to get fired for having this random little hardware wallet that, people lose. Things happen. So it solves a little bit of the custody issue, makes it easy.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to pay 30% to Apple for handling payments for them, right? But, having a small margin to have somebody conveniently hold your money and be able to, spend it. And we all have brokerages. And I think, the business model of someone like a BlackRock, they're not a hedge fund. They're not trying to take a position on these equities necessarily, is allow you to take a position on the equities and take management fees for large amounts of dollars worth of the assets, right? So,
that would
we all own crypto, right? Everyone in this call owns crypto, so we all know how painful it is to own crypto. Yeah.
Oh God, it's the worst. They're so bad.
Come on, it's made in France.
Antoine, it's like I relate to those as like a 14K modem. You have to use it. You have no choice. But there's got to be a better way.
And guys, even in 2023, we got a late start because I couldn't get my Bluetooth headset to connect cleanly. So I mean, come on, having any points of failure on individuals when it's important, with your money, with your assets. Yeah. So I think it's really exciting. I think all of these things are little steps forward to how we'll get more mass adoption, right? And so I think it was vastly underestimated how easy it would be to get to the mass market. And now we're seeing all the complexity, but we're also seeing the big glacial kinds of important movements take place. And when those things happen, at some point it'll become well, how did this not happen sooner? Because it's so obvious.
Yeah, and listen, even people that are very experienced in this space. I mean, we just saw this past week. It's not on our list of articles, but a what was the name? Prime Trust, which is they were a crypto bank. They lost $38 million in client deposits because they can't find the laser engraved seed key that they made. One copy, it only exists there. They didn't use anything like Fireblocks. They didn't have true proper custody. custody. So buying in an ETF means, number one, you can insure it. Two, that things will happen, but it's going to be on BlackRock, it's going to be on these other guys. If they lose it, it's insurable. They're liable for it. They can't just say like, oops, I forgot to write it down.
That's pretty interesting to have such a big player involved. I'd rather have BlackRock than Grayscale, honestly, to be the first.
Set the standard.
Yeah, it will set the standard. And as an investment banker, that anything that happens in the US then is replicated elsewhere. In the investment banking, the where we experiment is in Asia, and where we validate models is in the US. So then it's there's a legislation, and it can be copy pasted in Europe, Switzerland, the rest of the world. So it always starts there. And we've been waiting for a long time for that, and we'll set the standard, which is pretty cool. I agree with you, Tuomas. They will do it very cleverly. But even very big trading houses, not as big as BlackRock, have tempered a little bit with Terra Luna, with FTX, with this, that, and are in trouble. It's in the next articles. Like Jump Trading did that a little bit, and they are in trouble. BlackRock are so much bigger, and will not do that, or will do it very, very cleverly. OTC trading is still a thing. Once they come in, you won't need that anymore. It will be so massive that nobody will give a shit.
It's interesting to see the merging of the merging of the financial markets. I think it's going to be a really interesting thing, and hopefully that they expose these wallets so we can validate and verify what they're saying that they hold, and should be pretty easy.
They will,
because it's a Bitcoin. So yeah,
here again, we're talking about trust here, right? And it's supposed to be a trustless kind of permissionless type of asset. Yet the question really comes back: you need to trust someone, and who do you want to trust?
Well,
I want to trust Bitcoin is what I want to trust, because I can verify it. I don't want to.
But you don't even trust yourself to hold it, right?
No, I honestly don't.
Yeah.
Because I can insure it.
To be able to issue an ETF, you have accountability on the assets in store. So how often will they have to show the records? And as soon as they show once, you will know what the addresses will be. And then you can make the connections, and you will know when there's the purchase. It can be one-on-one, it can be automatically done at every day, every second, or at the cutoff at the end of the day, so they can adjust a little bit and trade and do a bit.
We're going to see BlackRock acquire Tornado Cash or some stupid thing like that, just so they can keep playing their game. So let's pivot real quick, and we've got a bunch of gamers and game lovers on here right now. So let's jump into there's a Web3 game called Golden Egg Wonderland, and I think Tuomas, this is going to hit right into your heart here. They just made a significant update introducing new features, game characters. I've never played this game, but the game's play for gold approach enables players to exchange golden egg NFTs for a real golden egg, backed by partnership with Tanzanian gold plants and refineries. So the update includes safeguards, a bunch of new updates, but I find it very interesting. Again, this real world assets, utility, like the fact that we're starting to experiment. How many people really need a golden egg in their life? I don't know, but the thought that you can kind of have this play to earn, play to live, and there's a real world thing that can happen, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it's totally interesting, and I have a lot of good things to say about it and a few bad things to say about it.
Let's hear them all.
I'll start off with the interesting part. It's like, when reading their PR that you're showing there on the screen, I think a lot of play to earn games, they've kind of had this issue that, well, you're playing to earn something, and whatever you're earning kind of deprecates in value over time. So you might be putting all this effort in, you have a bunch of paper money, but then once that bubble kind of subsides on that initial launch of a game and user acquisition, all of that economy kind of falls. So here they're trying to say, well, you're going to play to earn, and you're not going to earn some fake, NFT that's going to drop in value based on market forces. You're going to earn this gold, and gold is a much bigger market than anything on crypto, anything everywhere. And so what you're going to earn is going to be worth its weight in gold. And I think it's a brilliant kind of marketing strategy. It gets around some of the issues that people have had with play to earn. And I think, it's interesting from that perspective. One of the things, so getting kind of on it's going to be really good for people like us who are trying to show that, hey, you could trade, real world assets on the blockchain. On the negative side, I mean, there's been, at least 10 projects that have tried to tokenize gold to sell it on the blockchain. You could go to OpenSea, for example, and you could search gold and you get 4.3 million results. There's companies like, Materium, there's 4K, a bunch of different, NFT marketplace, real world asset bridges that have done the gold thing. And, for whatever reason, there isn't that much interest to trade gold on the blockchain. I think the way that people trade gold in real life over commodities exchanges, through their broker dealers, through all this kind of stuff is pretty robust and very cheap. Right. So I'm not sure there is significant friction in gold trading per se. I mean, I think there are some marginal improvements that could be made to the system to reduce fraud, reduce storage costs, increase transactional efficiency, reduce settlement times, all these kind of things that blockchain's good at. But specifically gold, I'm not so sure. And then, finally getting back to, John and Antoine, how they introduce themselves, the game has to be fun. Right? What's the point of playing a game unless it's fun to play? You could win gold at the end, but we know that if the game isn't fun, if you're earning gold, who's buying that gold? Where does that come from? What is the self-reinforcing cycle to get people excited? Somebody has to pay for the gold at the end of the day, and if you don't have new users coming on the platform, it doesn't matter. So the game has to be fun. I'll leave it there.
Antoine, what's your thoughts?
Oh, so Tuam, very valid points on the gold market. I've worked on a 6-7 years ago. Worked on a project that was going to try use blockchain technology for traceability of gold, to have a fair trade gold out of Africa and bring it back to Europe. These guys are based out of Monaco. They do a great job. They do it without blockchain. They do it. What is this? How is this different from any NFT game? This is a pyramid scheme, like any other pyramid scheme, with a twist that you can exchange your stuff for an egg. Okay, cool. Who is giving the money? Where does that come from? It's a scam. It's a piece of shit with gold around it. So no, it's
a shit cover golden egg. Let's
cool.
call it.
I'd rather have chocolate, but no, this is crap again, and I'm pretty sure the game is terrible, and I'm pretty sure it's if you look under the hood, don't show me the tokenomics. I already know it's like it's a shape like that. So you'd have to find new users that will pay for that. It's crap. No, again.
So you can tell something's a scam because it's got the words "play to earn" in it, and you can tell a game, how good is a game's quality. It's kind of an inverse relationship with the marketing budget. How many ads have you seen for Fortnite? Right? Yeah. I mean, none. They don't need to advertise.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't agree more. A good game does not need marketing. Some good games have marketing, but how do you make a game so fucking sustainable you can distribute gold? Yeah, John, you're a game developer and publisher.
I'm trying to make them sustainable.
Please tell me, do you print gold at home? No, that doesn't work like that. Sorry, I have a visitor.
I've worked on a lot of big games since tripping into this industry in 1998, and I can tell you that anything associated with play to earn is a pure scam. It really bothered me when I started getting into crypto and gaming in, I guess, 3-4 years ago, and I started immersing myself and figuring out, I'm like, this is so cool. Let's become experts and let's go raise a bunch of venture money and let's dive into this because this is definitely the next big thing for the world. And then I realized, oh my God, and that's true, but everything everybody else is doing is an utter scam. It's not going to work. The one thing that's been true throughout video games, the history of video games, is it's got to be a great game for that day and time and platform. And if it's not, forget about it. You're done from the start. And so, I look at these games. I don't have to click play to know it's going to be a crappy game.
You have a few keywords now with all those Web3 games. So AAA, MMORPG on Unreal doesn't work. You have pay to earn. play and earn, whatever. You have a few keywords. Just look for experienced people like us from the gaming industry. You just look at the landing page, 2-3 words that, okay.
Well, and let's go to advanced techniques. Like, what's a word that's not a scam? Win to earn, right? Because ultimately, you can't have an equation that somehow on the left is player time and on the right is money. Because you need to have money on both sides. If money's going to come out, money has to go in, and that's coming from someone, right?
Yeah.
And so the models that we are really excited about are win to earn. So one of the most popular, reasonable, fair business models in gaming today and free to play is the monthly battle pass. You pay your $5 or $10 a month and you get all these extra perks. It's like, look, why wouldn't you spend the amount of money that a couple cups of coffee in a month to really improve your gameplay experience around the thing you're spending 10, 20, 30, 40 hours a month playing? Like, it's ridiculously a good value. It's literally designed industry-wide. It's known as the best value in gaming. Buy your battle pass if you're going to play the game, right? So but now what if we took that and we said, okay, a couple of those dollars of value are going to go into the pot that can be won by players. So at the end, when you have your leaderboard and you find your results, you actually get some crypto out of it. That'd be kind of cool. And now I can use that to buy next month, or I can accumulate it. But you're not playing to earn and somehow this is your career. You're having your hobby. You're having a really good time. You've chosen to spend your hours here, and you have something to show for it. And maybe if you're really good, then you're esports. People have built careers in gaming. Or if you're an influencer, if you're a personality that people want to spend time with.
Yeah,
and
I think you guys are
having to get a tiny, tiny slice of a billion ads. You can actually get a tail of the revenue for the value you've brought to the ecosystem by bringing marketing and attention to a game. Because
I think that brings up some really good points about, input and output. And, when you get down to that base thing, so let's jumping back to our first story, which was about X Twitter, Elon just flat out said, anyone that's a content creator on here, he's giving a percentage of the ad revenue based on the views that your stuff sees. So if in line of the comments of a post that you make on X, they're getting revenue, they've created an ability to kind of rev share for you. And so, while it's relatively complicated from that standpoint, this is what blockchain is supposed to solve. And so, Antoine, this is what you guys do. You're building engines for, games like John's to be able to kind of just say, like, here's the easy button. It's a great game. Here's the input output. And then Tuom, you actually are, having an input of real world assets to play a virtual game that then can come back to there. So it's a matter of, but I think what you guys said is there's no like real world thing that just poof appears, out of nowhere, and there's no money that's gone in. And it's just kind of, hey, we're this kind of, pay to earn, kind of concept.
It's actually very interesting to try to balance a game and try to balance the economy of a game. How do you make money? Yeah. Do you make it paid game, just ads, or all of that battle pass, all of that? So, but you need money in to be able to pay. If you don't have that, you just print money out of thin air. It doesn't happen. That does not exist. So it's always very interesting to look under the hood of all those successful games or not successful games. You have many not successful games that make a living. That's great. And not everybody's Fortnite, but cool. There's so many games. What we do on our platform is just allow making games faster so you can iterate and make more cool games. I'm not allowing you to print money. There's no magic. There's no magic wand. It doesn't happen like that. So make a cool game. It doesn't work. Make another one. Make another one. Make another one. Try, iterate, and innovate. Don't be Ubisoft. Don't be an idiot and make like another 10 Assassin's Creed.
So let me just ask an open question, because all of you guys are experts on this panel. Is there a path to a true play to earn? Because I really love the concept of it. I saw what it was doing in emerging markets. Axie Infinity. It's a highly stupid game, but it was allowing young kids with a $20 smartphone to learn, to kind of have this very basic skill. There was demand in kind of, first world countries that they wanted these things, these Axies and the tokens and everything else. And so there was a demand of this marketplace that was held up by nothing, obviously. But what is kind of the holy grail of being able to create something like that? Because I like the idea of, people pulling people out of rice paddies and pulling people out of sweatshops to do something of value, in a virtual environment, we're all speaking, the same language here, that people actually have desire for and willing to trade real world dollars for.
What is the value that they bring in?
Let's all say, let's answer the question simply no, and now let's say, okay, well, but what if? Like what?
Yeah,
like, let's
that's fine.
Because it's like the obvious answer is no. So let's get creative with that assumption and say, well, what could we change? What would have to change? What would have to, so the money, as we talked about earlier, has to come from somewhere. And left, there needs to be an input of money. Let's assume that people in first world countries with more money than time are putting money in. So what do they?
Correct.
They don't have time. They want to be prestigious. They want to look generous. They want to have clout. They want to win. So maybe they need someone to beat. Right? These are things that I think if you look at a system, as we look at as system designers, right? We're really economy designers as game makers. We need to give someone something for a fair exchange that they're going to put money in or value in. And then, okay, so then the people in the developing countries are putting their time in. They have more time than money. They want money out of the system. So how do we make that exchange work? And the problem is at the levels we saw before, it wasn't sustainable. So how do we make it sustainable, right? So again, you have to have the engine of a fun game because you're not going to put money in.
And there's been gold farm. There's been gold farming in World of Warcraft for decades.
But you had World of Warcraft first. You didn't have gold farming first, right? And so I think that this comes back to the issue for me and the nut I've been working my entire career to crack, and a couple times I have, and a couple times I haven't, even with big successes, is how to make something a truly mass market phenomenon. Right. And so what we've seen in crypto is like everything we started talking about, X and ETFs for Bitcoins. These are mass market major things that the entire public is kind of aware of or interacts with in some way outside of crypto. And now crypto is coming in. Okay. But gaming, it's been all like nothing's been big. It's been not mass market. It's been crappy small games for super enthusiast people. Right. And so how do we change that? We've got to make great games, and you've got to get great games to adopt crypto. And that's why we pivoted, right? We pivoted from taking our awesome game RuneStrike, which is live now. It's beautiful. It's a great card game, but you haven't heard of it. You've heard of Hearthstone, but you haven't heard of RuneStrike. And we're saying, well, a lot of people have played Eternium. Let's get Eternium to that next level and then put the crypto there. And then we've got 37 million people waiting to play.
Tuom, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I resonate with John's point about, the general answer is no. But then if you go in and slice the different segments of people within the game, then the answer, for some part of that ecosystem is maybe, right? And that maybe is a very conditional maybe, because like if you make it, so simple that you're just holding a phone and clicking a few things to farm some things to build something so that some wealthy person in America could go and buy, and that's kind of your input and output, that's also very easy to bot, right? And so the question is like you need to do something that's fun and engaging for everybody in the game, and then the people that are there that are farming, that are spending the hours doing this kind of stuff, it has to be reasonable in terms of complexity, in terms of thought, so that it's not easily bottable. Because I think once the bots hit the game, it just destroys the economy, because you have, instead of having 100 people there, you might have 10 million bots doing the same thing. So it's an incredibly complex problem. I think overall, there's no such thing as play to earn on average for the player base. I think there is, whales coming in, wealthy people coming in to buy kind of to compete in the top level, and you have all the people that are working to provide that ecosystem. And I just think that there's better ways to do that. Why do you need all of the people there working and doing something boring so that these people at the top can buy those items and win and make money on the tournaments and whatever it is? Just give it to them anyway. And you don't need this whole system designed for this play to earn. I think play to earn is kind of a dirty word right now, and I think it has to come afterwards, as we said with World of Warcraft. I mean, I think if people can find some niches within a game that they can do really well, crafting items, doing some, maybe there's somebody who's really good at fighting a particular boss and they could get paid to do that. I think creating an opportunity for people to go in and learn a game and and create their own kind of niche is good. I think
Yeah.
just blandly saying, okay, you guys go to the farm and pick the radishes that you're going to feed the Pokemon to go in and play the turn, that doesn't work.
Unskilled labor never becomes something that gets highly compensated in any economy, right? But Tom, what you just said, I love the word creating. The creator economy is much more interesting, and like helping people from developing nations become creators. Well, that's a different story. And so I think that's a massive trend in gaming, right? The big release from Fortnite earlier this year was it's now essentially competing with Roblox and becoming a game ecosystem within which people can create other gameplay experiences, and then Fortnite will share the revenue. That's really interesting. And that's something that crypto can be extremely useful for.
Yeah. Antoine, this is exactly the problem you guys are trying to solve in Meta Engine.
Absolutely. And there's no magic formula. Play to earn does not work. Simply because you need to provide something in exchange for money, right? So if it's just your time playing a stupid game, then you end up having the guild system. That's my point of view. That's my private opinion, not Meta Engine's opinion. This is slavery, right? So I take your time, you play this game for this amount of hours. If you're not good, I discard you. But if you're good, then I take 30% on top of it for doing jack shit, right? Just providing you with that stupid egg for this game or that one, that golden egg or whatever was that other thing. That does not work. Creator economy is a big thing. So being creative with your phone, well, there's limitations. What can you provide to a game or to an ecosystem with your capacity, local capacity, with just your pretty bad Android phone? What can you do? We had an experiment a while ago with something called Earth Twin, where the economy was basically local. Anybody would be able to contribute by creating objects, 3D objects to contribute to the world, or scan the world and scan like a crack in the road or a building, etc., to contribute to like a big crowdsourced digital twin of the world. How do you pay these people? How do you pay them? You need to generate their work. Need to generate revenues, and then you can redistribute those revenues. On John's point of view on win and earn, yes, competitive gaming. Okay, when I was younger, I was dreaming about becoming a professional gamer. Cool. I played. I was at some point number 2 in the world playing CS:GO. No, not CS:GO. Counter-Strike, the first version. It was a while ago.
Wow.
Was a while ago. I played too much. And how can you get paid? How does a professional player get paid? He gets a contract from a company and works for a team and gets sponsors, and then maybe he can win championship. And they will make maybe 100,000 a year. And you have some millionaires, but they're not all of them millionaires. They live a cool life, but they are not millionaires. How can you expect giving even 10% of that to 50,000 individuals that are playing a stupid game that can make 1,000 a month? That's not possible. You have one pro player making 100,000 a year, and you expect to have 1,000 kids playing with just their phone making 1,000 a month. That does not work. It's impossible. The gaming industry cannot allow that. Maybe a vision of Meta, and they executed it poorly, was to bring that creator economy and bring everybody into that 3D environment where the dream is still a Ready Player One, and that there's one coin that rules everything, and it's in-game coin, and you can buy stuff in real life to continue play the game, and mothers are paid, farmers are paid, this are paid, etc. Yes, but it's billions of people playing the same game and competing. So I steal your stuff, then I win. I win over you. So it's win and earn.
So
Here's a good way.
there's a couple concepts that I just want to throw out here real quick, and I think that there's one of which is like the Call of Duty, which I play with my kids, and it's annoying that like every version of Call of Duty that comes out, you get to rebuy everything all over again. Nothing transfers. I don't own anything, even though I bought skins, even though I bought things. It's just kind of like, nope, new game, start over from scratch, and if I whatever I own is just locked in my account and I can't use it. So the ability to theoretically trade or sell or do anything there is very enticing. The other side, and I think it talks about a little about the creators, creative economy is some of the games like with cars that have skins, and that designers can say, hey, I created a unique skin. It looks like a Shiba Inu or whatever in the world it is, and someone goes, I'm willing to pay money for that, and that does allow money to escape the system. So I think that's an artistic approach that could allow people to kind of have a wouldn't be a play to earn, but a create to earn. So I think, and that does create vibrancy in a community, and in a game. Is that something we think that we should see? Is the ability to collect and trade, be like an arms dealer in Call of Duty, or kind of be able to to create skins that other people are willing to purchase.
I think you stole my catchphrase. Create to earn was actually the catchphrase of that project. Was at some point Crypto Planet and then turn into Earth Twin. But exactly that.
And by the way, create to earn and win to earn go really well together. So here's something taken from actual gaming history, right? So when I first started working in the video games industry in 1998, I spent a lot of time, many hours a week working at Sega, and I also spent about 40 hours a week playing StarCraft. And most of what we were playing, StarCraft, we were playing 4v4 back then, like in our flat in San Francisco. And we were playing on this one particular map that I don't know who the hell made it. It didn't come with the game. It was something that you had to download. And we were all playing this 4v4 map. Well, someone created that and they got absolutely nothing for it other than the pride of creating. And I don't even know who it was. But what if somebody in the world had created that and it was on chain and they could have had a tiny bit of compensation every time that was played? And now what if you put a business model on top of that? Like, hey, we're all going to put up $1. And, the winner takes 3 and the house takes 1. And the house with its 1 pays the creator of the map. Like, this is really exciting. This is cool stuff.
Counter-Strike is a mod of Half-Life. That's how it was born. Day of Defeat, all of these games that were made out of Half-Life. That's super cool. Blockchain can be helpful there. Track ownership, track who is the creator, can this asset be licensed, who is licensing it, who is using it, when, how much is being paid for that, so how much is this creator going to get? Like being fair and being transparent, that's what it can do. It's my inventory. I'm supposed to be able to use it. Like your skins, I want to be able to use my skins here, there. Before you were able to mod on your PC and change the skins, and even on Counter-Strike and other games. But it was also allowing to cheat. So that was banned. It's not fair. You have to buy again everything. I have no skins on no game. I don't want that.
Well, it's a core problem you guys are trying to solve. But let's shift over to a final topic, and I think it's very important for us to, when we're thinking about any type of blockchain gaming, we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about any type of cryptocurrency, the core chain is really important. And one of the things that I deal with on daily basis with yWhales and yWhales communities is education. And so we're going to start with Shiba Inu has created their own chain, the Shibarium. They have relaunched their bridge yet again, and they're the active processing times to be able to move coins in and out of the Shibarium bridge. Again, if you don't know what Shiba Inu is, it's a meme coin that has no inherent value. It's designed to kind of be a Dogecoin, alternative. And the bridge can take anywhere from 45 minutes to 7 days. And so we see this quite often, and I'm not saying that their technology is not sound. I'm not saying that the computational is there, but their first attempt of this, which was a couple weeks ago, they lost about $1.7 million in the first few hours that this bridge went live. And I think that people really need to understand and think about it before you ape into a project like this. And this just like, it feels like the bull run's coming soon. Like we're going to get to that point because the hype is coming in. But this is not like like something that any real investor should look at. Can you make money? You're most likely not. The chances of you losing money over here and doing these types of things, is it decentralized? Like this is just a scary, scary thing to see. And this is how we get so much regulation forced down our throats, is because these anonymous teams are on their 20th rug pull, and now they're going for the big rug pull by having an entire chain out there with these bridges, which are some of the most insecure, even the good ones, even the big ones. Jump Trading's lost billions of dollars on their bridges, and they really actively manage these. Antoine, I know you've got some really exciting thoughts on this.
Well, mention Shiba Inu. It's the same as mentioning play to earn, and it brings that's why we are getting a lot of regulation, but also why we need a lot of regulation. Letting people, so the anonymity, I don't care. It's cool that you can be anonymous and do stuff, but this is a scam. Everybody knows it's a scam, and it doesn't work. And oh, sorry, we lost $2 million again. Who is still believing in this? So I don't know why Elon is trolling that hard about Shiba Inu all the time, but you get yet another fake project or another scam, and decreasing the credibility of the whole ecosystem again and again and again. So I think we will get rid of all of that pretty soon, and we won't see as many scams as we've seen, or as many bad projects as we've seen, because they captivate a little bit and then fade away. But that Shibarium.
Tuam, you're on what I would say is one of the top alternative chains, top altcoins, which is Solana. And you already have to deal with quite a bit of people saying like, "Ooh, there's problems there." Like, why would anyone go so far down the path to do this? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest moneymaker in crypto for some of these platforms is the concept of this Ponzi scheme, and I've seen meme coins launch and do that kind of thing. And the way it works, just technically, you get a team of 4 or 5 people. They might go and launch the coin, and now they own 100% of the coin. Then they might do something that sounds great, but it's actually meaningless. They'll go and say, "Oh, and 50% of the supply is already burned." And that kind of sounds super exciting, and you say, wow, there's scarcity now. But everything I just said is completely meaningless. It's mumbo jumbo. And then they go and buy a billboard in Times Square and talk about the future of crypto and this and all this kind of great stuff. And then all of a sudden they start slowly selling the coin into the market, and they basically put on the hat of a market maker. And whenever there's a dip, they might try to soften the dip, or if they see that there's thin liquidity in the marketplace, they'll go and just put a bunch of money in there to pop the price up. Then they get some more marketing and PR, and they kind of get this engine going with the whole goal to kind of figure out, well, what's the adoption curve of this meme coin? And we're just going to sell into it. And they take something that literally was zero to create, it basically costs like $30 to create the coin on the blockchain. And they go and they create this fake multi-billion-dollar market cap, and they sell a bunch into it. And this has just been repeated over and over and over again over the last 3 or 4 years. And the people that lose money in these Ponzi schemes are the ones that come to come to play right at the end. They come and say, wow, my friend over here on Twitter just made $10,000, and he's saying, oh, it's going to go up, up, up. Or maybe there was a little dip. Maybe there's a 20% dip. It's time to go in because this is going to be the next big deal. And, this money comes from nowhere. It's evaporative. And it's all coming from people that are coming to the show late. And it really puts a bad name and a bad fuzz. Everybody's hairy that works on this stuff. And, there's a reason why everybody's anonymous, right? It's because the same people are doing it over and over again. And it just sickens me because, the 4 of us here are trying to build something that has utility and value. And you get these like pump and dump schemes, throughout the ecosystem that just ruin it for everybody. So Thanks for the.
It's why I don't say I'm in crypto. It's like, it's even hard to say Web3 anymore. Because there's just so many connotative, just like people just perceive it, as a scam nowadays. And if you say Bitcoin, they generally, they don't understand it. They go, yeah, that's interesting. I don't understand it. You say the word crypto and they think of this stuff. They think it's memes and games and everything else. And it's really sad because I do see, the value of cryptocurrencies.
It's like that even in the game development community of game developers who are very bright and well informed on these topics, because everything that's been released has been. And then gamers who are slightly less informed have this irrational hatred in some cases. Like major publishers have tried to give away NFTs and they've gotten crazy crap for doing it.
Digital collectibles.
Give it away. Like they weren't trying to sell anything. They weren't trying to make any money. They're just trying to hey, isn't this cool? Have it.
And I think crypto also, we kind of kick ourselves in the balls with this too, because everybody who's been doing this for a few years understands how these meme coins work.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a large proportion of us, a large number of people who are probably going to, I hope not, but, probably a large number of people who are going to listen to this podcast. They kind of, have a playbook. They say, okay, new meme coin comes out. I'm going to keep an eye on it. When they start their marketing push, I'm going to buy in and I'm going to sell it at 3x.
Yep.
And they're just going to repeat this over and over again. So people do make money doing this. But it's all the people that come in after it's already blasted on the news. When you see it on CNBC, the whole thing's a scam.
You don't want to be the exit liquidity.
Yeah,
exactly. Which is really what happens.
That's why you need the SEC or a regulator. That's the Ponzi scheme there's always been Ponzi schemes.
It's as old as time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we're sort of on the sidelines right now with crypto and gaming, is we want the SEC to do something reasonable and rational. We don't want to be having people betting their fortunes or having an unstable environment. We want people to be able to put money in, spend it, play with it, take some out, and if they take out a profit, pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
Once we have that, we will have an amazing win-to-earn economy. We can layer on create-to-earn economies, and we will take gaming into new frontiers.
I'm excited to see how you and Antoine work together here shortly.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I want to thank you all so much. This has been a fabulous hour. A lot of great insights. We've covered a lot of topics. We've gone all the way from ETFs, regulation and reg tech, to metaverses and Shiba Inu meme coins. So can't thank you guys enough for the time here today. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. yWhales. This has been the yWeb3 series, and Tuam, Antoine, and John, I thank you guys so much for your time today. We'll see you guys all next time.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay.